Hello, here I am, Rich from Brazil. It is about 4 o'clock p.m. Brazil, and it is London time, 7 p.m. Here we are. And here we are. I would like to know, first of all, if the people can help me to tell me if the sound's good, how's it going? Please, can you tell me if the sound's okay? Please tell me. The sound okay? My image is very good, clear. You can hear me very well. Please, can somebody help me, please? I guess the Professor Catalina is there, and maybe she can help me tell me if the sound is okay, if it seems fine. Is it okay? Hello, here I am with from Brazil. It is about 4 o'clock p.m. Brazil, and it is London time, 7 p.m. Here we are. And here we are. I would like to know firstly, yes. First of all, the people can help. Oh, all right, I was listening. So it's 4 o'clock, as I told you, I'm going to talk today. A very important issue that many people have discussing with me, that very interesting too. And our talk today, as I have promised, I'm going to share some slides, and you can ask me something. You can ask me here, and I will answer questions on all questions that you ever make to me. Any question, ask me, and I'm going to answer as soon as it possible. Okay. All right. So our meeting today, we're going to talk about this matter here. Look, this is the matter we're going to talk today about: how to differentiate between neutrality and impartiality in mediation. Neutrality and impartiality, specifically in the mediation process. That's what I'm going to talk about with you today. I want first to tell you that I'm not here to say what's right and what's wrong. No way. Far away from me. I'm here to explain about my point of view. Of course, based on I have been studying a lot about ADR for over than 40 years, and I got the conclusion. I reached a conclusion. I came to this conclusion that neutrality in mediation and impartiality, they are different. However, many people, many friends of mine, colleagues, has already told me, no, they are the same, and we can have a big discussion about that. Of course, we can discuss about many things. We can discuss a lot about neutrality and partiality. Maybe we can spend all night long, and maybe you never come a conclusion, never get a conclusion about this, because sometimes if we are out of the research, and if we are out of the science, the linguistics, the meaning of the words, of course we are going to have a lot of meaning for neutrality and partiality. But my idea is to talk about specifically neutrality and impartiality in mediation, right? So, because I can tell that, oh, let's talk about neutrality. Neutrality is different from partiality, and we call about in our mediation process. Well, I would like to start with a phrase that I think is very, very interesting. And is this is a kind of reflection. If you want to be a professional mediator, you need first to comprehend the meaning of the words neutrality and impartiality. But this is, yes, this is the great important difference, that you have to be a professional mediator. Because if you don't know this, we will not be a mediator. If you forget for a little time, for a very, very, very little time, that we are mediator, we are going to mix it up, partiality with neutrality. And to understand it perfectly well, this meaning, this is according to everything I have been studying, according to my books, according to my training. We have to understand too many things. For example, remember that the human being tend to judge, and we tend to say that people, we tend to help people, telling them what's right and what's wrong. I understand that judgment is important, because judgment is a part of our instinct of survival. I understand. And some professions need judgment. And some professions need to guide people to get success in their lives. But in mediation processes, judgment is not fair. Guide people, tell them what they have to do. It's not fair at all. It's not fair. It's not correct. Because if we do this, if we guide, if you tell the parties what they have to do, what is the best way, if I have 2 or 3 ways to solve, if I tell them which is the best, well, I'm going to tell you, you're not a mediator. If you help people saying what they have to do, it's not mediator. You can call anything else, but not mediation. I have heard many people saying that neutrality and impartiality are the same, meaning no, they are not. No, they're not. Just take a look in good dictionaries. This is not luck. I'm used to say that neutral or neutrality and impartiality, they are like to speak, to listen, and to hear. To listen is intellectual, and to hear is a kind of physiology. That's what they are not the same meaning. And that's why you're here, and I count on you to be with me till the end of the stream live. This is live. And if you be here to the end, you will have the right to ask your certificate. And I'm going to send you a certificate that you participated in this meeting, this stream live. Okay? How to differentiate between neutrality and impartiality, specifically in mediation. Okay, let's go. I mean, why is it important? Why, Giancarlo, do I have to understand the difference between both of these, neutrality and partiality? If you don't have the clear comprehension of the difference between neutrality and partiality, your mediation process will be compromised, and the part decision will be contaminated. Have you heard me? Did you hear me? Look, the process will be compromised, and the decision of the person be contaminated. And why? And maybe because of this, because you do not understand in the process neutrality and impartiality clearly, very well, maybe it can happen that the parts will not keep what they agreed. No, I'll not do that because it was not my decision. The mediator told me what I had to do. I'm telling you because I have already passed by this. While I didn't know clearly what was it neutrality. Because when I saw people trying to solve their problem, I was really very anxious. And my willing was, I'm going to help them because I have the solution. I was wrong. I was totally wrong. Because nobody has the solution to a conflict of anyone. Nobody. Because when you are involved in a conflict, it's like you are in a prison. And this prison, you have the key. And only you, because you were inside the prison, and only you have the power to open the door, to get out. If somebody else opened the door for you, maybe you say, no, I don't want to go out. I prefer to stay here in this prison because there are people that they like to live in a conflict way. So I was wrong that time when I began my life as a mediator because I tried to help people. I believe that you all know the history of the butterfly. Once upon a time, a boy was coming from school and he saw the butterfly trying to get out of that place that they were living in. And the boy tried to help her, to help it. And the butterfly couldn't fly at all. Why not? Because the boy facilitated her work. And the butterfly needed that hard work to get strong their wings to fly. And sometimes we are wrong. We commit a mistake when you tell the parts what they have to do. And if it happens, if you don't know your role as neutral, maybe the parts will not honor the agreement. That's why when we are talking about conflict resolution, we need a professional mediator because he or she is the professional, well trained, well prepared to act in a conflict. I really sometimes do not understand the following. Look, when a person is sick, person looks for a doctor, medical doctor. When a person has any problem in his house or in the company, problem with the electricity, calls an electrician. When I have a problem with the fire, I call a fireman. But why? When you have a problem in a conflict, why don't you call a professional mediator? Person, he or she was trained to manage and to solve, to help people to solve their problem. So it is something for you have to think about. Very important for you to think about. Why is important to know? So I told you, But now I want you that you follow me, please. And I would like to know that who is there with us for a while. Uh, for a while here. Well, let's go. We are going on. So my question sometimes is that to be a mediator, I had been ready and I had been heard a lot of definition about mediation. Everybody's right. And I have my own definition of mediation. For example, for me, a mediator, that's my point of view, that's my opinion, that is on my book. And for me, a mediator is a third person, a volunteer too. It's very important to understand. Mediator is a volunteer too. People used to say, oh, mediation is volunteer. Yes, and a mediator is a volunteer too. Everybody that takes part in a mediation process is volunteer. Do you agree? Because I'm not obliged to be there. There is no enforcement to be there. So we volunteer. And the mediator is chosen freely by the parts. And the role of the mediator, his rules is to facilitate the communication between them, between the parties, stimulating them by the use of special and specific techniques. By themselves, the parts find out a consensual solution to the issue they are involved in. Consensual solution with the issue that they are involved in, and to reach an agreement which is good and acceptable for both. It's very important to understand. Sometimes I hear a lot of people telling, no, the important is to reach an agreement. Sorry, but I disagree. The important is not to reach an agreement. The important is to reach an agreement that's acceptable and healthy. That's why I create the restorative mediation. I created for that. I created for that reason. Because when we are in a conflict, the idea is to restore, to rebuild relationship, to rebuild dialogue. The main point, why there is conflict? Why is there a conflict? Because people do not dialogue, they act. They act. I used to say that what does a war mean? War is a clear declaration that I don't like what you are doing, or I don't like what have you done to me in an aggressive way. War is not so different from a personal conflict. No. Maybe you say, no, Giancarlo, you're wrong. The problem is the image or the consequence of the conflict resolution. And they think that they are solving a problem with a war. It's very important that in the conflict, in the mediation, parts reaching an agreement that it is good for both, acceptable, healthy. That is what's the most important thing. That is my opinion. What I'm talking about about this. That's my opinion. I'm talking about this. We have to have all these understanding. That's for more important for me. That's for me. Okay, and also we have to understand one thing that is particularly very important when I'm talking about mediation. That is what is neutrality. Neutrality. I was talking to you that I'm going to talk about neutrality. The neutrality, as a matter of fact, neutrality. We have many different meanings. As I told you in the beginning of our life, we cannot use neutrality in various areas. No, I'm talking about neutrality in mediation, impartiality in mediation. Neutrality, this concept, the concept of the word neutrality gained strength in the 19th century in Europe. And when the wars were fought, that would you call the war. And when there were fought on specific battlefields, specific place, and combatants were easily separated from non-combatants. A third part, look, it's very, very, very interesting. A third part, trusted by both sides as a mediator. Mediator chosen is a trusted person. So in that war, a third part, that part was trusted for both sides, could play a neutral role, standing between them to care for the owned people that are hurt, not taking part in the combat. It was the first meaning. Look, the first meaning of Europe. I'm talking about the war. But the first meaning I had to come up with the light about this. A neutral mediator was described by Roger Fisher. He was described a neutral mediator as a eunuch from Mars, wholly impotent and wholly neutral. That was he says. He was a eunuch, yeah, that man from Egypt, eunuch from Mars, wholly impotent, wholly neutral. It is important to approach that when it means to be neutral in mediation process. In mediation process, to be neutral means that you have to be very, very far from any kind of interference. The mediator additionally have to prevent losing. Rock says that the mediator must additionally prevent public opinion. I do not understand, because I have been seeing, I have been watching many mediators giving opinion about something. No. Mediators cannot show any self-interest from entering into or influence a negotiation. Remembering that mediation is an assisted negotiation. I cannot interfere in a negotiation. I'm the third part. I'm there just to help them to express their feeling, to interpret their feeling, to help them to control the emotion. I'm neutral. If I am neutral, I have some obligation. and being neutral for me and according to everything I have been studying. In mediation, I'm not talking about in any area at all, church, because when I'm a mediator, I'm not a psychologist. Psychologist has another meaning of mediation. Therapist, another, every professional has. If I talk to an electrician, what's neutral, he's going to talk to me about phase of the electricity. But mediation, I'm going to tell you 6 points I consider very important. Being neutral is. I'm going to show you. It's better here. Wait a moment, please. Being neutral is. I'm going to show you to be very, very clear here. Okay. Let me show you. Let's go. Being neutral is not proposing a solution to the issue. No. Do not say to part, oh, if you do that, oh, no, but what I'm going to do, you are going to stimulate them using technique, using tools, such as analyze the SWOT, such open questions. You have to use many tools that you have learned as a mediator. Not express an opinion or take action that support either side in a disagreement, in his disagreement, or be careful and think not to let yourself be involved or become evident in your sensory experiences. That is, not to let yourself be carried away by what you haven't seen, heard, or experienced in your personal or professional life. It's quite common in a mediation. We bring all these experience that have been in normal mediation. Each mediation is different from each other. You're different. The fourth, do not use vocabulary that induce one of the parties here to make a decision that's not their own. It's wrong. Here's to make the parties. Let me correct here of parties to make a decision that's not their own decision, because in the future they are going to say it was not my decision. It was Giancarlo's decision because he told me that I should act like that. One was very important. Do not to rush the arrival of the agreement. If you are in a hurry, if you have a time, please do not go to a mediation. It's going to be really terrible. When we are mediated, we do not have time to end it up. Not have time to end. Not compel any mediator to reach out, not oblige any part, not oblige any part to reach an agreement. Never do that. Never oblige the part to reach an agreement. It's wrong. The parts, they do not have the obligation to reach an agreement. That's why it's mediation. If you have the obligation to have a decision, you can make another thing else except the mediation. It's very interesting to have in mind. And after that, we're talking. I've got the conclusion that, in short, that neutrality is the essential element contained in the ethical responsibility. Neutrality, to be neutral, is necessary to have ethical responsibility. The ethical responsibility of the mediator. It is the first foundation, the ethical, and the security of the parts. The neutrality of the mediator is essential, as it's the basis, and the main reason for mediation. Therefore, it is an inexcusable value. Neutrality is the basic of the mediation. Because if I need an advice, I go to a psychologist, I go to a lawyer. But I want to solve the problem. I want to reach a decision by myself. So if you want to reach a decision by yourself, look for a mediator. That one thing. We talked about neutrality. Now, let's talk about impartiality. As for the impartiality of the mediator, there is a consensus. Everybody say that's right. Everybody agrees that everyone should be impartial. Well, for example, in Brazil, our law stipulate impartiality, but do not stipulate neutrality. Many laws around the world. So impartiality, that is, you do not take sides. That's impartiality. You do not agree with this one, you do not agree with this one. I mean, you not be in favor of either one or the other parties. Regarding partiality, one can ask after the mediator listen to, because the impartiality is very difficult. Sometimes people ask me, Jean-Carlos, is it possible to be impartial? It's not easy. It's not easy because you are a human being. Being human being, we are susceptible to have preferences, but we have to hide. We have to control this partiality to be impartial. And for me, being impartial is not to protect one part in our conflict. It's not to say who is right or wrong. Almost the neutrality, not take sides. That's why it's so important to understand. Because I have seen some mediation where the parts the mediator is so involved, and the mediator see that there is a solution for the problem. He tried to give a solution for the problem. It's not correct at all. So just to make now a brief review, when you are neutral, you do not say anything. You do not give them the solution. This being neutral. And when you are impartial, you do not protect one or another. You do not take part one side or another side. This is what I would like to share with you: impartiality and neutrality. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in another time. Thank you, and bye-bye.